Hello and welcome to Parent Intervention News. I'm your co-host Ellie.
And I'm your co-host Brenda.
Today we'll be covering some breaking news pertaining to the fresh and effective parenting technique of attending. Attending is appropriate for children up to ages 7 and 8, and it's a special time in which parents set aside to spend with their child positively, one-on-one, attending to their child's behavior.
So Ellie, I must ask, can you think of a time that you've had a supervisor or a manager that you've enjoyed working for, and what were some of the attributes that you liked about them and that make you work a little harder?
Well, Brenda, I'm thinking maybe somebody who's really encouraging, engaged, and consistent. I would say consistency.
That's right. Attending is a parenting technique that employs attributes like the ones that you just mentioned, and it has been proven to improve the quality of caregiver relationships. And attending can be used by parents, teachers, and caregivers.
Now, let's go into the objective segment to talk a little bit more about what attending is all about.
Okay, so let's get into some of the objectives of attending. One of the objectives is to increase the amount of positive attention that is given to the child each day.
Right, and I think it's important to note that this includes times even when your little one has acted up or maybe they're just getting on your nerves.
Yes, and also if you as a parent are having a rough day, it is important that you are still showing positive attention and that you're a consistent care figure for the child.
Right, and as you'll see as the segments progress, attending is one of those techniques that's quick and effective. It's really not as challenging as some may assume, so look out for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. The last two objectives are to teach the caregiver to attend to positive behaviors as well as to promote the child's sense of self-worth.
Right. I think it's also important to mention that this is a great parenting technique for parents who are busy, low on time, low on cash. Maybe you can't get that new toy that every kid is buying on the market. It really, all you need is 5 to 10 minutes of your time each day devoted to spending time with your child and creatively. So this could include activities such as drawing, playing with blocks or sticks that you found outside, building a puzzle. So without further ado, let's get into our application segment.
Okay, so let's start with the first step, and that is to be consistent. It is important that each day you block out a time to spend with your child one-on-one.
Right, and it only has to be about 5 to 10 minutes to be effective, so it's great for you superhero moms out there that are juggling a million things at a time. This is really a great technique for you. I also wanted to mention that this is one-on-one play that is child-directed. So the child really gets to call the shots with this one. If they're pertaining to it being safe and creative, it's up to them to choose what they want to do. And a helpful tip, if the child is having troubles finding what they want to do, it may be helpful if you want to give them a list of things that they can choose from so they can really narrow down what it is they want to do for the day.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And the next point is that you describe what your child is doing. So maybe if they're drawing a tree, you say something like, "Oh, I see that you're drawing a tree." And that really emphasizes to the child that you are paying attention.
Yeah, I love that. I also think it's important to talk about praise. So praise is very important when you're doing anything in terms of attending. It really shows the child that you're both noticing and appreciating what they're doing. And maybe an example of this is your child shared your toy with you, or shared their toy with you rather, and you say, "Wow, I really like that you shared that toy with me." Just something like that to emphasize that you're both noticing and appreciating what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a great example. And lastly, you want to incorporate into your playtime is a bit of reflection, or it's also like parroting back to the child what they're doing. This often imitating a nonverbal behavior that the child is doing and makes them feel accepted and understood.
Great. Well, now it looks like it's time for our segment of Question of the Day. Stay tuned. Welcome to our Question of the Day segment. User 12354 asked, "What if your child doesn't want to engage or has a little bit of an attitude with you? How do I remain positive, or should I just start scolding them?"
Yeah, that's a great question. And although it might feel a little crazy, the best option is to simply ignore the behavior by looking away. If you give them the attention, such as scolding, it really could actually make the child want to engage in it more.
That's great advice, Brenda. Well, in our next segment, we'll get to put our skills to the test. We're going to give you a brief video scenario, and we'll pause the video after and give you a chance to maybe think about some things that went right, or maybe some things that you don't really think are in line with attending from what you learned today. And we'll see what you think.
Ooh. Oh, it looks like you're drawing a frog. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I love that you're drawing a frog and it even has the little fingers and the eyes.
Thank you.
I love that. Can I draw with you? Okay, so I'm gonna get one of your markers. Thank you for sharing with me. That was so nice of you to share. I'm also going to draw a little frog. It's just going to be a different color. Okay. Oh, this is so nice. I love spending time with you. Thanks for letting me play with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you watched that, think of some reasons why this is a good example of attending. We'll pause for a brief moment so you can think about it.
Okay, so let's review what just happened. The mom in this example did many great things. She described the drawing of the frog. She gave praise in two ways, both in the drawing and in the child's sharing, and reflected as she also engaged with drawing with her child. Now let's watch a not so good example and see if you pick up on some of the things that make it not the best form of attending.
Hey Ellie, you want to play?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's draw today. No?
I want to play blocks.
Well, we don't have any blocks, we only have drawing, so we're gonna draw. You know what? Since you're being so crabby, we're not gonna do anything today. I'm gonna take this away. We're just not gonna play anymore. No playing. Okay, I'm leaving. Okay, so let's take a brief second to think. Okay, well, welcome back, and let's see what went wrong here. First, this is not child-directed. The mom told the child what they need to be doing. She was not descriptive, and she was sitting in silence, and that's not attending. She was non-praising. She didn't say anything uplifting about the child's behaviors. And lastly, she did not handle the tantrum correctly. You are supposed to show your child consistency even if your child is acting up.
Right. Wow. What a fun exercise. So I think our show is almost wrapping up. But before we end, let's do a quick recap of what we learned today and what attending is.
Okay, so let's recap what we learned today. The objectives of attending are to increase the amount of positive attention that is given to a child each day, teach the caregiver to attend to positive behaviors, and to promote the child's sense of self-worth.
Right, and it's also important to note that when practicing attending, it's important that you're consistent with your child for your one-on-one time together each day. Make sure that your activity is child-centered and that you're descriptive of what your kid is doing. Also, praise them for the activity that they're doing. And lastly, reflect and model back to them physically what they're engaging in. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thanks for tuning into Parent Intervention News. I'm your co-host, Ellie.
And I'm your co-host, Brenda. Bye-bye.
Bye.